I appreciate everybody for coming out. It's certainly a dream come true for me, being a local guy. I want to start out by thanking Scott Mitchell, Bob Young, Jim Lawson, Stelco, and the ownership group. Certainly, I take the responsibility of the job to heart, and I enjoyed the interview process, and I look forward to getting going. I want to obviously thank the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 11 years is a long time. So for me, leaving wasn't easy until I started sitting down with Scott and getting a feel for it and walking through the building, and I knew right away, this is an awesome opportunity, and I couldn't be more happy to do it at home. To my family and friends, I've been doing this a long time. Humble beginnings of starting to coach. And, over the years, you make a lot of sacrifices doing what I do as a coach and a scout. And certainly the text messages after a tough loss or a big win help carry you through. So to my family members, I really appreciate it. To my mom and dad, for my father, my parents immigrated from South America. My mom was from Trinidad, and my parents found a passion early. They always had Grey Cup parties, and it was an annual thing. And I remember, when you're growing up, all the kids come together, and they had a Nerf football back then. They probably don't have them today because dogs eat them, but we were out there at halftime playing football, and every year we went to a Grey Cup party, and I started to just love that. And of course, my dad took me to my first game here. At the time it was Ivor Wynne Stadium. To my mom, teaching the importance of sticking with your team. This is a real story. I was coaching with the Toronto Argonauts. My mom would call me before the game and say, "Oski wee wee." Okay? And you think it would bother you, and part of the time, like if we lost, it would bother me, but she stuck with her team, and it was a local team. Now, my dad was an Argonaut fan, which is interesting, in the family dynamics of things. So that's possible. But I really appreciate my parents and how they raised me to value hard work and to try and do the right thing. I don't think I'd be here without that message. To my partner, Jen, boy, it's a certain level of selfishness involved in this business that people don't understand. Behind every successful coach or somebody that's been able to do it a long time, it's their wives and their kids that make the difference. And people don't often see that, but I've seen the other way. So I am so lucky to have somebody that's willing to sit with me and yell at the television, get in the car if I'm going on a scouting trip, and remind me that if I've worked 28 days straight, that it's time to go to a movie or have dinner together. I appreciate the guidance and the support from her. Goes a long way to being able to do a good job. Now, for you, those of you that don't know, I started coaching at a really young age, and I could go on forever, but I'm going to point out a couple things that really made a difference. And for young Canadians that are coaching, I hope you tune into this message. I'm here because of the Burlington Minor Football Association. When my parents allowed me to play football, because I was playing a lot of things, and my parents were smart. They didn't want to get up on Saturday mornings at 5:30 and take me to hockey practice. So they said I could go play football. And, I don't remember a lot about my times in the BMFA. I do remember this. Someone had to teach me how to put my gear on. I had no clue. I had wore hockey equipment to the first practice. And the second thing is, they made it fun. And if they didn't do that, I wouldn't have kept doing it. To my high school coach, always my coach, Mike Harris, and the boys at Assumption High School, all my coaches. I probably wasn't the easiest guy. I know I wasn't the easiest guy to coach. So for them to mentor me and to tolerate me when I was younger and to pull me along, that guy will always be my coach. I still have a relationship with him today. And if you're coaching high school football and you haven't heard it, thank you. For my opportunities with junior football in the CJFL, from playing, I didn't have the money to go to school. I worked full time, and I played junior football. And when I came home from coaching at Mount Allison, they gave me a call to go coach junior football. I did it for 3 years. I'm sure I'm going straight to heaven just for all that time put in right there with the CJFL. But awesome experience. We had 5 guys go on and play in the CFL. To Mount Allison University, to my teammates there, what a great experience. I wasn't the best player, you know. I was the right guard some days, and oftentimes I was holding the bag, but you know, they gave me an opportunity to coach. Small office, small school, small town, no excuses. We won, and that was incredible. That ride was incredible. 2 guys I'd like to mention there, the guys I worked for, Gord Grace, John McNeil, both guys that had a tremendous impact on my life. McMaster University. Jason Riley's here today. You know what? You're working so hard at the time, and when I interviewed for this job, it was the first time in a long time I hit the pause button to look backwards. I'm always looking forwards. There's just too much to do. But what we were able to do there with Greg Marshall, our coaching staff, and the players there, and our athletic director, Therese Quigley, I will never forget it. And I love my time on that campus and in Hamilton doing that. So it's one of the other reasons that keeps me motivated going. University of British Columbia, the opportunity and the lessons there were great for my growth. An experience living on the West Coast, coaching football. Grateful for that. The Toronto Argonauts. I mentioned a few names quickly. Rita, Barker, Austin, Barato, O'Shea, Gord Grace, Greg Marshall. Guys that have actually made a huge difference in my development as a young Canadian when there wasn't opportunities. We didn't even have the internet. I drove a lot of places to learn and talk ball. So for me, that's why I believe in the power of the sport in our community. And I want to get a chance to help with that. But obviously the bulk of the workload right now is improving our football team. Now, I could tell a lot of stories, as you could probably tell. If you don't know me, I enjoy them. But I'm going to turn it over now to the Q&A and see what direction you guys want to take it. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Ted.
Thank you.
What did you learn over the last 11 years in Winnipeg and that run to 5 straight Grey Cups that is now will inform you as a general manager?
Oh, boy. I mean, first of all, you know, I saw, you know, Wade Miller, a guy that probably was getting more phone calls to, you know, give us a bus ticket out of town after the first 2 seasons. We didn't make the playoffs. So, you know, I learned that, you know, sticking to it and allowing people to finish the job is important. None of that would have happened if he had listened to just the fans or read the newspapers. So I appreciated that, continuity and consistency. I learned the importance of process. Listen, they hadn't won a Grey Cup in 29 years. And when I got there, there wasn't a scout card, there wasn't a database, there's no manual to do it. And we carved that out, and we'd sit there. Osh would make fun of me because I have a book. Now I have 3 books. But it was a book that I was building on how we did things. And I always brought it to training camp, and I would reevaluate our work. We'd go over an autopsy, you know, without blame, right? Not trying to assign blame, but just to learn from it. So to create that environment and bring it here, you know, I've got a pretty good blueprint. The other thing I learned, you guys won't remember, but like I walked in there, we were getting 19,000 a fan, and when we were down by a point, even if it was the first quarter, they were leaving or they were booing. And we stuck with it. And winning is more than just me or good players or good coaches. It's the ticketing people. It's the social media team. It's all those things. So I learned the importance of trying to connect the dots within the organization so that everybody feels a part of it. Because really winning is not, it's much bigger than one person. So hopefully that answers it.
And then to follow up, not to pay too much attention maybe to the Argos in that 2012 Grey Cup winning year, but your comfort with O and with Milanovic that was built in that season that maybe helped the decision.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, you know what? It's not just that. I guest coached in Toronto for 8 to 10 years, and I would spend time with Rich Stubler, who, you know, to me was a pioneer in interviewing, bringing in match coverage, and I would try to spend so much time with Rich, but he'd dummy it right down that I really didn't get the secret formula. O was the guy that gave me the secret formula because I could tell right away. He led the group. He led his group, and we'd get on the board back and forth. He was playing, I was coaching, and he took the time to do that. And I never forgot it. In fact, once in a while I would remind him, and he'd always look at me and go, "You remember that?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." Osh was the same way. So I remember all of those things. Scott Milanovich, one of the reasons I'm here. Okay. People ask me about, his arranged marriage or anything else. Listen, I worked with that guy, and I was the background guy, but I pay attention. Scott's a leader. He's competitive, and he's the main reason we won. What he was able to do with the quarterbacks, extending Ricky Ray's career, putting good game plans together. I mean, I think he's a higher level thinker in our league, and I'm excited to provide him some more pieces to get it done.
It's been said about your storytelling. I wondered if you could share one about your early days coming to Ivor Wynne Stadium. And do you have a favorite?
Oh man, yeah, I got a lot of them. And honestly, here's the cool part. I walked into the ticket office just to meet them, and they're in the bullpen. That's a tough job. And they told me that two of my buddies from two different teams already bought season tickets. And I was just fired up because, listen, when I was a young kid, minimum wage was $2.85. I saved my money to come to games at Ivor Wynne. So I understand. I got a lot of messages. And the neat thing about, I try to answer them all. I'm just overwhelmed with it. But people are telling me what seats they're sitting in. They're giving me their seat section and their row number. And you want fuel for what you're doing. I search for those things. I know I'm going to be tired some days, but it's that stuff, the fans, right? Because I get it. I sat in the same stands. I could name this starting O-line for a decade. I'm an O-lineman at heart, so that's why. But I can name lineups from years past. It's really important to me, and I sat there, watched walk-off games, great defense. Worked their free agent camps for free, coached their all-star games. I've spent a lot of time here, so it's important to me. And my whole childhood was spent at a ballpark.
Hey, Ted, congratulations and welcome home.
Thank you.
You mentioned earlier this is your dream job. The old adage, good things come to those who wait. Does that resonate with you, and what does that mean? What does it mean to be the GM of the Ticats now?
Well, been doing it a long time, so I understand the business part, right? It's a long road getting here. The runway can be short, so I respect that part. But I've always found reasons to work hard wherever I've been. I mean, I was just raised that way. I feel tremendous responsibility to the players, like in the locker room, the right players, the leaders, to bring in good pieces. That's key. So to do it home just allows me to do things that I really want to do. Build a football team. I want to bring that Grey Cup back into the tailgate lot, the following year. And most of my buddies are season ticket holders. I walk right by them on the way to the game. I just take my gear off afterwards so I can go have a burger with them. I don't wear my colors. But to do it at home, I'd love to help, grow football in the area. I believe it's a transformational sport. I believe in all those things, So to do it here, I'm not looking to leave.
You mentioned the Grey Cup. This franchise is currently in the longest stretch of Grey Cup drought.
Yep.
What's it going to take to get there?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not really one to talk about Grey Cups, even when I win them. To be honest with you, I don't spend a lot of time celebrating the Grey Cup, maybe a couple days. So I'm more focused on the process that'll lead to the outcome. So that's where I really spend my energy. I think the Grey Cup is, it's the result of a lot of hard work by a lot of people, and it's the decisions that we make in the back room, the thousands of small decisions every day that get you there. So I'm more focused on that. But I will tell you this. I'm not numb to the situation. this year was the first time I looked up and saw 1999 as the last banner. My first call was to Danny McManus to ask if he was the quarterback. And we got a good chuckle. So, yeah, you know what the goal is? It's always to win the last game. That's the goal.
What can you tell us about the first step in that process?
First step in the process? Well, it started. I think it's, in fairness to everybody on this team, right? The tough part is there's always change, right? There's always going to be change in a football team. When you don't make the playoffs, there's probably a little bit more change, right? So, in fairness to the players that are here, I need to do a deep dive into the roster. I'm going to reach out and talk to every one of them and try to make some of those tougher decisions early and build from there.
Clearly, everyone saw Bo evolve as the season went on and was the East nominee for most outstanding player, but he is at a certain age.
Yep.
Do you kind of look at that? How do you evaluate that situation, seeing his growth in Scott's system, but knowing his age and knowing maybe the project that you want to build here?
Well, it's a good question. I'm going to tell you, he's one of the reasons I came here. So I've seen him win and do some amazing things, and I saw him work through it. Scott's offense is not easy. So Bo was trained to read things a certain way, and I've coached in Scott's offense. I found it difficult. Bo's probably a lot smarter than me. He probably found it easier. But, for him to change his mindset of working with Dave Dickinson, who's also really good, but the reads are different, the playbook's different, it can take you a while to get back on track. So I'm evaluating Bo from the second part. What I'm really interested in doing is spending some time with Bo. He's the next call when this finishes, by the way. I tried to call him twice yesterday, but my phone kept blowing up. Is to talk to him about, there's one thing to win Grey Cups, right? I've been in 6 of them. I've won 3 of them. And they're all special, but there's nothing more special than doing it in a challenging environment where they're hungry for that. I mean, that first win, the first Grey Cup that you can bring to a new organization is unbelievable. So that's probably the conversations. He's won a lot too. But I think collectively we got a chance to do something amazing over the next little while.
And given everything that happened in Winnipeg and the process and how that informed, do you look at this and do you say, okay, there's a certain timeline whether you want to share that or not in terms of where you want to be, or is it kind of, listen, we'll evaluate and see where we are and we'll take it from there?
No, there's no timeline. I mean, my wins are going to come tonight when I try to re-sign some players. My wins need to come on a daily basis. That's so far away. I want to focus on something down here. I want to focus on winning the draft, free agency, hiring the best staff, meeting people in this building, trying to connect the dots for them of how important their roles are. Yeah, again, I appreciate the ask, but I know what the goal is. We're going to get there one day at a time.
I don't want to get you in trouble re-tampering, but you mentioned Danny McManus. You guys
Love
have
him.
A lot of success in Winnipeg.
Yep.
Any wishes to bring him to Hamilton?
Oh, boy, I think everybody would love to work with Danny McManus. You know what really my priority is? Meeting the people that put sweat equity into this building and getting to know them.